Hello, everybody. I know you guys
Hello,
can't talk back, but hello.
welcome everyone.
Hello.
Well, there's some clapping hands. That was cute.
Here we are again with another webinar. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time tonight. Appreciate it. And hello, Roxanne. Hi, Men
Nice
and
to see you. Kind of.
or see you type. So we
Oh,
do have a lot of info in store for you tonight. We have our lovely Victoria here to help us kind of coordinate, move things along. I see there's quite a few of you 66 tonight. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. And if you don't know us already, my name is Mena, and this is my mom, Rocky, and we are Maimoni Legal, and we're here to educate and provide some guidance for people who want to make the move. So
and
I
have
guess we
some
can,
fun.
and have
Don't
some
forget.
fun,
And have
yes,
some
because
fun doing it.
the law is dry. And so if we could make maybe a few people laugh, then we're winning. So,
Yeah.
Victoria, do you want to start the slide so we can introduce ourselves?
Hey, who's that?
I don't know.
I remember that day. Anyway, welcome to Maimoni Legal, everyone. We introduced ourselves already. What do we do at Maimoni Legal? We take care of business and investor visas, family-based visas. We specialize in business law. We do estate planning, wills and trusts. We're like Big Brother. When you come into our family, we like to say at Maimoni Legal, we treat you like family because we are family. And when you come into our ecosystem, we can pretty well take care of everything for you. And if we can't do it in-house, we've got some incredible professionals working with us who can. So, and as most of you know or don't know, we're Canadian as well. Moved from Ontario, just outside Toronto, down to Florida over 7 years ago. And now we're really excited to be here and happy to be assisting everyone in making the move or setting up to purchase a home or whatever it is that you want to do in the US, we're here to assist you. Moment of silence.
Da, da,
Vic-
da.
Victoria, you need to push the button, honey, when we're done.
Okay, this is our office. Not the whole building, I wish, but we're on the fourth floor. And like my mom said, we pretty much help with anything our Canadians need. So yeah, do you want to tell them about our story, Mom?
Yeah, so some of you already know it. There we are, the dynamic duo. We came down to Florida on a girls' trip, a last-minute girls' trip. It was February. You know what I'm talking about. It was freezing cold. And decided to rent a convertible and make our way down to the Keys. Fell in love with Florida. When we returned, I decided that I was going to maybe buy a condo so I could, come down a little more often, like many of you already probably have. And when I started looking into real estate and return on investment, cost of living, I kind of scratched my head and I thought, what am I doing living in Canada? And I looked at the tax structure and I was, about 47 years old at the time. And I thought, if I liquidate, I can pretty much retire if I did it in Florida. Wouldn't have been able to do that in Canada. And so that's what kind of got the wheels started, the process started. And we ended up hiring an attorney who didn't really do a lot for us. We were kind of left on our own. And it was a bit of a difficult experience because we felt we didn't have a lot of support. And then when Mena decided to go into immigration law, she came to me one day and she said, "You know what, Mom? I really want to open my own immigration firm. I know that we can take incredible care of our Canadian friends and family, and we can, fix all the things that we struggled with, like figuring out healthcare or how do I buy a house or who do I trust. We can help our clients so that they don't go through the same thing that we did." And that's essentially how Maimoni Legal was born. And it has been an incredible journey so far. We've made some incredible friends and clients, and we're really, really having a great time. And we're honored with all the trust that our clients have put in us. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for letting us do that. Okay, Mena, your turn.
And I wanted to make a shout out to, she said hi to us already, people like Roxanne,
Yeah.
who just support us endlessly and tell people about us. So thank you so much to people who support us and have been on the journey.
Yeah, there's so
Okay.
many of you on the Facebook group, especially who really go out of your way to let others know about us, and we really appreciate that. There's
Yeah.
Dana, there's Indy, there's so many of you. So thank you so much.
So what do we offer? Like we said, we offer estate planning. So what is that? What's estate planning? Estate planning is kind of like asset protection. So a lot of us Canadians, we come down and we're like, okay, we assume everything is like Canada. It's not. As you could probably imagine, there's a lot of differences. So if you're moving down, you're going to need a whole new will. You're going to maybe want to do a trust if you own property, real estate especially, or even just if you have bank accounts or any items of value, you're going to want to have a trust so that that document not only protects you from probate, but also provides some asset protection. And then there are supplementary documents that we can help you out with as well. And those documents are more related to healthcare. And so, for example, if something were to happen to you, in Florida, and you didn't have some of your documentation in place, usually the state would make healthcare decisions for you. So I don't know about you, but I'd like
Absolutely.
for my mom Rocky over here to make my healthcare decisions instead of the state of Florida. So we can help you with that. It's very straightforward. It's pretty inexpensive if you think about the benefits. Or are people having a problem with the connection?
I think it's just one person who's having a hard time.
If you're having a hard time, if you could just comment that, that would be great. Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
they're good. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. So that's estate planning, and we can definitely help you out with that. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward, and it provides a lot of benefits, especially if you have kids or you have items of value. The second topic is
Well,
immigration law.
but before we leave, are we going to talk a little more about that later on?
I think so. I don't
Yeah, okay. So
remember what
let's
the
just
slide.
touch on it, then we'll get into some things that I really want to share because I didn't know until I got here, but we'll save that. Go ahead.
If you want to share it, go ahead. I don't know what the slides are hold.
You didn't memorize them?
No, because I do things like this on a whim.
Estate planning is asset protection is the most important part because as Canadians, we don't have the same, if you're not a green card holder or a citizen, you can't homestead your property, which means that property, if it's in your personal name, if something happens and you get sued, which happens, a car accident, it's very different from Canada, then they can go after your personal assets. And so it's really important to have a call with us. We have a cross-border CPA. They're awesome. They have offices in Canada and the US. We work hand in hand with them. And what usually happens is we'll connect you with the CPA. You have a strategy call with them, and they'll look at your Canadian holdings, your US holdings, and what your plans are. And then they, in conjunction with us, will put together a plan how to best protect your assets, how to lower your tax burden, whether it's Canadian or US. And it's an incredible coalition to make sure that everything is done properly and smoothly. And probate is a terrible word because it's after we pass. Basically, it's a long and difficult process, and you want to spare your children from doing that. So you create a trust, like Mena said. It's exactly outlined as to what you want. And when you go to see the man upstairs, everything your kids or whoever you have in your trust, the next day can already make decisions, and the government doesn't get their fingers in there. So the asset protection is really important. If you have a property in the US or anything of value, you really need to reach out to us so we can protect you. That's all I wanted to say.
I
Thank
like how
you.
you said the man upstairs.
The lady upstairs.
Hey, you never know.
Never know. Behind every great man is an even better woman, right?
Yeah. Okay, so our next topic is immigration law, and that's a huge part of what we do. So I'm sure you guys have all heard us talk about the E2 visa, but it's one of the most popular visas for Canadians, for our clients, and I'll tell you a little bit about the requirements there. So there's generally three requirements for E2. The first is a substantial investment. So the substantial investment around, I can't talk. The substantial investment amount is around anywhere from $80 to $100,000 or more. So even if you're buying something for more than that, investing in something for more than that, that's totally fine, but that's the minimum. The second requirement is that the funds be at risk. So not only do you have to have a promise to get involved in this business in the future through your business plan, but you also have to actually spend the money. So if that's buying an already existing business, you actually have to close on that deal and have the funds be out of your control. Or if it's a startup, you actually have to incur expenses and show us, okay, here are all the invoices and the receipts of what's been paid and what's been set up. And only at that point can we file your petition. And the third requirement is a source of funds, which is usually pretty straightforward for people. And that is, where did you get the money? Did it come from your home? Maybe it was a gift. Maybe you worked your whole life and those are your savings. So wherever it came from, we kind of have to be able to document that and show that, and you're good to go. It can be in any industry, so it's not limited to a specific type of business or industry. So anything that you're interested in that makes sense, it's a viable business, you can get an E2 for, so long as your business plan is hiring at least one American within the next 5 years, and it's something that you're able to turn a profit with. Another important factor is that usually you have to have a physical location, because we have to show that you are required to be in the United States to run this business. And if it's a home-based business that has very few expenses or low maintenance costs, for example, that would be quite difficult to prove, right? So those are the requirements for E2. Now, what are the perks? Perks are that you get an initial 5-year visa. You can continue to renew that visa for 2-year increments after that, so long as you're generating a profit, you've met some of the promises that you made in the business plan. And your spouse gets an open work permit. So the principal applicant can work only for the business. However, the spouse, open work permit. They can work for any U.S. company wherever they'd like. And your children, any children under the age of 21, can go to school under that visa. So I came down initially on an E2. My mom, Rocky, came down on an E2. It's been fantastic. I was able to set up a business for myself. I was able to get a social security number, establish credit. I bought a home. So there are many, many perks to having the E2. It'll allow you to come to the US and start to realize some of those dreams and goals that you've had. And I think there's no better freedom than being a business owner. So I really love this visa. It's a fantastic option for anyone interested, and somebody who has, $80,000 to $100,000 to invest.
Yeah, if I can chime in too, I talked to a lot of you who've maybe never been a business owner before. We've got everything there to assist you. We have business brokers, if you need business consulting, we can do that for you. We can connect you, and through our business law section of the firm, we can overlook contracts, leases, like I said, just making sure that everything is done fairly and properly, and we're like Big Brother watching out for you. So don't be shy. If it's something that you're thinking about, maybe you're not 100% sure, we can walk you through it, and so that it's a very simple step-by-step way of achieving the E2 visa.
Yeah, and sometimes, I have surprising people with conversations with people who are very surprised, and they say, "Oh, I had no idea that it was this simple. I had no idea that I could just set up a small business, something that I'm passionate about anyway, and get my E2 and have all these perks." So I really encourage you to set up that free 20-minute call that we offer. A lot of firms do not offer it. You have to pay to meet with the team or an attorney. So we have that for free for you. So we have a dedicated team that's ready to talk to you. So take advantage of that and ask them questions and bounce some ideas off of them, and you'd be surprised what you can do. I'm seeing some of the questions come in. Everything is in US dollars, okay, when we speak on this webinar, so just so you know. Another really awesome thing that I have yet to see another attorney offer is the money back guarantee that we offer. And the reason we offer that is because we have a 100% success rate in the E2 visa. The money back guarantee is, if you do not get your E2 visa because it's my fault, so I did something wrong with your petition and you didn't get approved, I will give you all of your attorney fees back. So that's how confident we are that we're going to do a fantastic job for you and take great care. So
Why do you have 100% success rate?
because I rock.
You
No,
must have a good mother.
yeah, it's because I have a great mother. No, I'm kidding. I do have a great mother, but we have a 100% success rate because we're extremely diligent. I will not submit your petition if I don't feel that you have a very good chance of winning it. And so I will be very communicative with you and let you know this is what I think, this is what needs to happen. And if I don't feel satisfied, we won't submit the petition. We've never had that happen. I think maybe once, but the person was not willing to take our advice or follow any direction. Other than that, we've had smooth sailing and everyone's been approved and extremely happy with it.
Yeah, so she does an incredible job. The team does an incredible job of meticulously going through everything to make sure that we're not going to have any issues. So that's great. Are we stuck? There you go. Okay, I'll take this one on. So what do we do in the business law division? We set up your LLCs. We can do a business closing for you, so we can act as the attorney on the transaction. We can hold your funds in escrow. So just when you're buying a business, like buying a house, you put a down payment and then your funds get paid at closing. We can facilitate all that. Operating agreements are very common, especially when there's partnerships in place, so we can draft and put those together. We can manage and create your purchase and sale agreement. We can guide you through due diligence. And then if you want to do any type of business transfers, including sales or mergers or succession plans where you're going to pass the business along from yourself maybe to one of your heirs or a child or a partner. So everything to do with the business side of things, we're there and ready and available to assist you. Even if it's not related to immigration. If you already have some type of business and you don't need our immigration services, we can help you on the business side of things. Same with the asset protection and estate planning as well.
I think we talked about this already.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the estate planning, why it's important.
that's Rocky hugging my friend Louisa.
We hug, we dance, we laugh. I haven't cried yet. Maybe crying from
We've
laughter.
cried. What are you talking about? We've
From
cried.
laughter, we've
From
cried.
happiness, yes.
From happiness. Yeah, we really have a wonderful environment, and we welcome you to join us.
We want to read this quote. Opportunities, was it opportunities don't happen, you create them. So I want to share a personal story. When I was writing the bar exam, I was struggling. It was months and months of studying. I was locked up in my place for, like I said, months. And at some points, I wanted to quit. Okay, I didn't want to do it. I kept telling my mom, "Oh, I'm gonna go." Oh, I told everyone, you guys are gonna laugh. I told everyone, I'm gonna bake cakes. That's what I'm gonna do instead of being a lawyer. So obviously that didn't happen, but part of that was me finding this video online, and the video was a motivational speaker, and he was talking about being in lion mode. So what does that mean? It means that you are not just accepting the bare minimum, you are not average, you are in lion mode. You are going after what you want with such passion and aggression that you're not going to let it pass you by. You are going to make what you want to happen no matter what. So I would watch that video every day and I go, I'm in lion mode, I'm in lion mode, I'm in lion mode. And
She actually did that.
I actually did that and I would study and continue on because of that video. Well, fast forward, I passed the bar, obviously, or I wouldn't be here. And we set up my Moni Legal, and my mom and I decided to participate in this program called CRISP. What does CRISP do? They help law firms grow and scale, and they just help lawyers grow. And so we went out to their summit in Atlanta. It was a huge event, and they had all these speakers. They had like famous lawyers and from the industry. And one of the speakers that came on, he comes out and he starts talking, and I recognize his voice. It's the guy, it's the lion mode guy. So he starts talking about how lion mode is no longer in. Now it's, what did he say? I think it was a pack of hyenas now.
Yeah.
Or the African mountain dog or some kind of dog. And the whole premise was you're not on your own. In order to succeed, you have to be in a team and you have to build a strong team because the rate of kill for a lion was about 20% and the rate of kill for this pack of dogs was around 90%. So they had a huge success rate, huge difference. And so you can ask my mom, I was crying. I couldn't believe that this man that I listened to every day to get through the bar exam was there presenting in front of us. And it kind of like it spoke to me because first I was on my own attacking the bar exam. I was able to accomplish it. And now I'm building my pack of dogs, right? Which is
Thank
the
you.
team, which is the team that we've been able to put together. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because if you've had the thought that you want to do something different in your life, you've had the thought that you want to do something that people are going to criticize you for, that's out of the ordinary, but it's going to make you happy, and it's something that you really want in your life, go for it, and go for it with either lion mode or pack a hyena mode, because you can do anything you set your mind to. And we are here to help you do that. So that is my motivational speech of the evening.
Yeah, you know what, guys, if you want to do it, we talked to so many people who I've been thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. I remember when we did it, I just said, my son was 14. I said, you know what, Pete, we're going to go try it. If we hate it, we'll just come back to Canada. And so, haven't met anybody here who's regretted it. Everyone's made their way down. I think in some of our upcoming webinars and the new coming up this year, we are going to invite a couple of our clients on to share their personal stories. So you can ask questions and we can, instead of listening to just us who've been through it, we'll have our clients share it with you, which will be great. You're
Yeah, I'd
getting a
like
lot of accolades for your story, Nana.
great story. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the other visas, since I know not everyone wants to do an E2, which is
Yeah.
cool. So let's talk a little bit about each one so they get a little idea of what's involved. So let's talk about TN because a lot of Canadians are curious about that. TN is a pretty good visa and it's pretty straightforward. You need a job offer from an American employer or a contract. You need to be one of the professions that's on the TN list, so you can find this list online. If you don't match the profession on the TN list, don't go for the TN because they're very nitpicky with what they allow and what qualifies and what doesn't qualify. So if you don't match the profession, don't go for it. So that's another important part. And then you're going to need the educational requirement. So I've seen people that thought that they had the educational requirement. Maybe they had a degree from another country, and then they did the equivalency, and it seemed like they did. But if you don't have that minimum level of education that they're looking for, and it's not exact language, you're not going to get approved for the TN. So you got to have that. And then a couple other supporting documents would be, letters of recommendation where you've worked in the past, any awards you've won. You would need an attorney cover letter so we can explain and argue why you qualify for that position in that visa. And then what we would do is we would prepare you for the interview. So we would have a video call with myself or Robert, the other attorney, and we would prepare you for that interview. We would schedule it for you, and it's usually at the border. So we would pick a border, whatever you're comfortable with, schedule it out. You would attend that interview, and then if you get approved, you get the stamp in your passport right there on the spot. You're ready to enter the US that same day, and you can go get your social security number and start working at your new job. Usually the TN is good for 3 years, but I've seen them issue it for less, and it's dependent on the contract. So if you get a 1-year contract, they're going to give you a 1-year TN, and you got to keep renewing it thereafter. So TN's a good option if you meet the requirements that I just mentioned. Another interesting visa is EB3. So EB3 is for skilled and unskilled workers. So you don't really have to have a bachelor's degree or anything like that to apply for it. And basically, it's about a 2 to 3 year process where you would go through a labor certification. So you have to have a US employer who's willing to go through this with you. They would put in basically a request to the Department of Labor, and they'd have to show the Department of Labor that they could not hire an American to do the same job that they're offering you. So that's about a 3 to 4 month process, sometimes longer. And then your petition actually has to process and you have to wait during that time. You can't work during that time for them until you get an approval. And when you get approved, it's a green card. So that's fantastic. What a lot of people do is when they come down on E2, the spouse gets sponsored under EB3. So we've seen that many times happen, and we can help you with that as well. Another employment visa that is similar to EB3, but takes a little bit less time, allows you to work sooner, but involves a lottery is H-1B. So H-1B, the lottery is every March of every year. It's only open once for that year. You have to be selected. You have to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree to apply for it. Again, you got to have a US employer willing to sponsor you. And if it's approved, you can begin working in October of that year. And then they would go through the secondary process of applying for your green card, which can take up to 2 years. So that is that process. Now, let me think of the other ones. Another one is EB2 NIW, which stands for National Interest Waiver. And EB2 NIW, you have to have a high level of education. So a bachelor's degree with at least 10 years experience or higher with not as much experience. You have to have won awards recognition in your field. They usually really love STEM, so anything related to STEM. And what you have to basically build out is a plan. They call it a proposed endeavor. And the proposed endeavor has to be something that the United States finds beneficial and would merit you sponsoring yourself. So you don't need an employer because what you're doing is so important for the United States. You're going to create jobs, you're going to impact the economy on such a big level that you do not need an employer to sponsor you. Now, if you think you might qualify for that, it's important that you send over your resume and your qualifications, and we can do a free case evaluation for that. But there's some pretty strict requirements for that, so it's important that we talk for sure if you're interested in that. Am I missing any? I missed the family-based petition, so I can talk about that. Another direct way to get your green card is through family. Now, there's certain types of familial relationships that have different wait times and different caps, okay? So some of the categories have no wait time and no cap, and that is if a US citizen is sponsoring their child under the age of 21, if a US citizen is sponsoring their spouse, or if a US citizen is sponsoring their mother or father. Those three categories have no wait time. Now, for example, if you're a US citizen and you're going to sponsor your adult daughter or son, so they're over the age of 21, married or unmarried, it's usually an 8 to 10 year process or more. So they will not get their green card for a minimum of 8 to 10 years. Same thing with a brother or a sister. If you're a US citizen, you're going to sponsor your brother or sister, they will not get their green card for probably about 14 years. And that's if you're born in Canada. If you're born in countries like India, China, Philippines, or Mexico, it's even longer than that. It can be very, very long wait times. So if you do have a qualifying relative that you want to sponsor you, talk to us. It's always good to put that petition in and have it working in the background. And you can always do one of these other visas that we mentioned in the meantime to have you come to the United States faster and your green card kind of percolating in the background. That was a lot of information.
I just want to chime in quickly, and the one that we missed is the EB5.
EB5, yes, that's a whole other beast on its own. Do you want to tell them
Yes,
about EB5?
sure. I did an EB5, my husband and I did. The EB5 is the second investor visa, and basically it requires either 800,000 US or 1,050,000 US. And there's two ways of doing it. One is to invest in a regional center. So a regional center will take care of maybe 20 or 30 projects that are going. And basically you and I come along, we want a green card, and we're going to lend them 800,000 minimum to build that project, whether it depends. There's all kinds of different projects. If you're Canadian born, as soon as you do that, we can petition for your green card. You can start living and working in the US within 3 to 6 months as if you have your green card already in hand, or you can wait in Canada. The other option is through a direct investment. You put in $1,050,000 into your own business, whether you're buying it or creating it, and you have to create and or sustain 10 US jobs. And once you do that in your own business, you can also qualify for the EB-5. So that leads to a green card for you, your spouse, and any children under the age of 21. And it's been really quick lately. We've seen people getting green cards in under a year, depending on the project that they put their money into. We have an incredible broker that works with us, and he will basically hold your hand, show you all the different projects, assess all the different variables of that project, and then you can decide if it's something you're interested in and you want to move forward in. He's fantastic at what he does, and we've really had some great success with our clients with that. And the last thing that I wanted to point out is please stay tuned, because I'm working with a couple of different recruitment companies in the United States who are basically looking to hire Canadian talent. And the categories are going to be mostly with the TN, but also the EB3. They have 100 positions to fill currently. Some of them are already ready for EB3, so path to green card. We're talking about healthcare, nurses, physical therapists, accountants, and they're also looking at software engineers. So in the space of IT, I know we have a lot of clients that have contacted us from the IT world, and they're looking to make their way to the US. We're working with moving companies and transport companies. We're really trying to bring on every service that you're going to need to get the job done. Okay, so we offer complimentary calls. You can book those. Victoria, if you can go forward one slide, please. I'm going to give you the information to be able to do that. Oh, I guess it's at the end. Okay, well, let's put that up. There you go. Please go one forward.
There you go.
So there's our address. There's mine and Mena's email address. Can you please go back? Back and forth. There we go. We have our socials. We have Instagram, our website. We have a new website also that's in Canada called movetotheusa.ca. We've been on Z103.5 working on different promotions with them. We're going to be on CP24 television commercials very soon. That QR code will allow you to book a free call with us. It's all over our websites as well. So take advantage of that free consultation. We're happy to connect with you and answer any questions. Okay, so let's go to Q&A. I'll read some of them, and Mena, maybe you can respond.
Sure.
So we have someone here saying, if I get an offer of employment and want to get something beyond a TN, is there a path from TN to another visa?
Yeah, so once you're on TN, you're working, you can then go for an immigrant-based visa like EB3. The only thing is you want to make sure that you get the TN first, because if you apply for the immigrant-based visa first and then the TN, there's a question of your intent. Some of the visas, you can't intend to want to live in the United States permanently. No, it's silly. You can't intend to want to live there permanently, and so you've got to be careful of the order that you do things. So first TN and then like an EB3 or H1B is fine.
Okay, perfect. We have another question. Let's say I have 100K and don't have any idea what business to do, where to invest. Would we guide them step by step until they get the E2?
Absolutely. So we have a business broker that we could connect you with. We have accountants. We have everybody in place. So we can definitely help you. The business broker will do a fantastic job of connecting you to different businesses and putting you on a list. And yes, we can guide you. We can help with negotiations. We can help with everything.
I tell everyone that I talk to, you got to make a decision as a family. I'm doing this. Can I do it? Do I have the funds? Yes. If that's the answer, you bring us on board. We're like your personal trainers. We walk you step by step, one piece at a time. And that's what we do day in and day out. We don't leave your side until the visa's in your hand, business is going, and we set you off. So that's great. Okay, once the kids are over 21, this is wonderful because you can get rid of your kids at 21. Just send them back to Canada. Say sorry. All joking aside, Mena, what happens when they hit 21? What are the options?
The options are that they get their own visa. They're considered an adult, so they won't fall under your visa anymore. So if I were you, I would try really hard to get an immigrant-based visa and a green card before they turn 21.
Yeah, and if they are around 21 or older, we can always switch them to a student visa. They're going to continue in school. So they can, the school that they go to, it's very simple. The school will issue them an F1 student visa, and they can go to school until all of their coursework is done. When they graduate, they can apply for an OPT, which is an open work permit for 1 year, and it gives the student an opportunity to get sponsored through their work. Sometimes we see kids buying half of the parents' E2 business or going in. Um, the other cool thing too with the E2 that we should mention is if you have an essential worker, you can hire people under the E2 from your home country as an E2 employee. And so we've seen families where it makes sense. Like we had a family where the father purchased a mechanic shop, son was a mechanic, and he hired him as his to manage the repair shop. And so we were able to get an E2 employee visa for that.
Has to make sense though.
Yeah.
You can't be an esthetician and you're, I don't know, having them do open heart surgery.
Right. Or maybe your child grows up, meets a lovely American person, gets married, and problem solved.
There you go.
Right, Matt?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, hi, we're looking for an E2 visa. The challenge we had is that we have kids and eventually they would be going to post-secondary education in the US. My question is there any way that you can get access to a job? I know the E2 doesn't allow dependents to get a job, but we're looking for them to have opportunities. I'd like to answer this.
So many opportunities. Okay,
Oh,
go ahead.
yeah. So when I came down, my son was on an E2, he was 14. If he starts school, you can take him off the E2 and they can be an F1 student, like I said. With the F1, they can work at internships that are related to their area of study and or they can work on campus part-time. So it gives them an opportunity to work a little bit. You should really consider having your child come to the US for high school. And I'll tell you why. And there are also a couple other things that I just learned about. So the state of Florida, for example, has what's called the Bright Future Scholarship. If you graduate from a Florida high school, you do grade 11 and 12, there's a good chance your child's entire undergraduate tuition will be covered by the state of Florida. So they have a chart that shows their grades and their score on the SAT, and anywhere from 25 to 100% of the tuition can get covered. The state of Florida is also doing something new, and if you have a child and you choose to put that child into private school or into, you want to homeschool them, the state will give you, I was just talking to a client of ours, they receive $9,000 for their child because they're not going to be putting them in public school. And if you're on an E2 visa, your child would have the legal right to live and go to school here and would qualify for all of those programs as well. So it's a great opportunity for the kids for that. Okay, I like Stacy's question. Hello, Stacy. I'm in Canada and I'm freezing my butt off.
Well,
How-
Stacy, give us a call.
Well, Stacy's a client, so she's saying, come on, E2. We're
Oh,
almost
Stacy's
there,
already our
Stacy. Hang
client.
on.
Okay.
We should be there soon.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize which one we were
Yeah,
talking
which
to.
which Stacy? Lots
Yeah.
of Stacys. Okay. Here's a question. You mentioned that if you start a business with 100K, you have to work at that business. If I invest in someone else's business, do I have to work in the business I invest in?
Yes, we have to be able to show in the business plan that you're needed for the management of the business. So if you are just a silent investor, you just put the money there and you don't do anything, that might be tough. So we have to be able to show in the business plan that you're going to have an integral role there. Um, what you choose to do thereafter, it's up to you. If you want to get into different kinds of business after that, you can. It's always wise to put it in your business plan that you intend on, investing further or, getting involved in different types of businesses as well. But if you're here in Florida on the E2 and you spontaneously come across an opportunity and you want to take it, you're free to do so. But just keep in mind, you cannot get paid under any other LLC except for the one that has your E2. So that's something that you would have to kind of coordinate and keep in mind.
So someone said they're a bit confused. So let's say their child is 19 and they came under the E2. As soon as they are 21, they take away their E2? Yes, they do.
Yes. Yeah.
As soon as your child hits their 21st birthday, they are no longer a dependent under your E2. Your attorney should have told you that at the beginning. I'm sorry that it's coming as a surprise. Okay, I just moved to Nashville on a TN in tech, but in the next year I want to do a startup. Can the LLC company support an EB3 or a green card for the founders?
Okay, that's a good question. And that's a bit complicated because it's when they consider that petition, they'll consider it to be bias. So one way that you can try to overcome it, it's not a guarantee, you can try to overcome that is by you have to prove that you're not in control of your company. So one example would be having a board of directors that makes decisions on behalf of the company and based on what your role on, they make decisions for your role as well. So if you're not able to set that up, you're not able to kind of relinquish control of your own company, which is kind of crazy, I think, but whatever floats your boat. If you're not able to do that, then you're not able to do an EB3 or H1B for yourself through your own company.
Okay, so someone's asking about examples of businesses. Guys, we've seen people do all kinds of things, pet-related businesses, services, pool routes, kitchen cabinetry companies,
Making cookies.
construction, making cookies, gyms. I mean, you name it. Sometimes when you're looking, because I was in your shoes when I'm like, what business am I gonna do down there? Sometimes there might be a business you might not even think of. And then you'll see it and you go, you know what, I can see myself doing that. So the brokers will work with you to find out what the most important part is. What lifestyle do you want? When I moved here, I knew that under no circumstances that I ever want to work on a weekend. I was at that stage in my life where not doing it. I don't care what it is. And so I geared my search towards that. There are other people who love the restaurant industry. They like that lifestyle. So it really depends on what you want, what you're looking to achieve, and you can work with your advisor to figure that out. I recently started an online business in the States. How much do I need in monthly sales and for how long to qualify? When can I transfer myself? Yeah,
Yeah, and online, solely online isn't going to work.
right.
You have to be, like I said earlier, there has to be a reason for your physical presence in the United States, or they're just going to argue, well, why don't you just keep running it from Canada, right, or from wherever you are? So you need a physical office location. You need to incur startup expenses that make sense. And we can work with you to figure out what that may be. Showing sales and showing profit, that's good, but it's not all that they're looking for. They're looking for expenses and for expenses incurred in the United States. I've had some clients who they came from another attorney. They incurred expenses in Canada only, and their petition was delayed and they faced some issues. They had to transfer a lot of things to the United States. They had to reinvest. So you kind of have to make sure that you understand exactly how to set it up before you go for it. So that's why I encourage you to call us and talk to us about how to set that up and what you can do.
Any limitations on the TN/TD visa?
Yeah, the spouse cannot work. So if you're bringing your spouse with you on TD, they cannot work. They can just accompany you. And on TN, a lot of limitations. You can't work for anyone else. You have to work for that employer only. And should the employer dismiss you or if you resign, you have about 60 days to exit the United States. So that could be a problem for someone here with a family or they set everything up and then something goes wrong. That's why I really encourage people, if you can, do E2, because all the chips are in your
Yeah.
hands. You can do whatever you want.
Well, we have someone who's saying, can I sponsor my parents while you have an E2?
No.
So, yeah, no.
Long story short, no. Unless
Well,
they make sense for the business and they're going to work there,
well, we've
or they
seen a
buy
lot of
50%.
families who buy half. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you share a business with another E2 family, you can do that. But the 80 to 100,000 that you have to spend on buying or setting up that business, now we have to multiply it by two because it's two families. So we've seen where, maybe there's an older mom and dad who might even be retired, but they buy in half with one of their children to buy that E2 business. And then so there's two principal applicants, one from each family. And then there's two spouses, and the spouses get open work permits. The principal applicants can work at the business. And that's kind of one way. Or we've also seen families where they've been in business with their parents in Canada, and they do the E2, and then they bring one of the parents in as an E2 spouse, not spouse, I'm sorry, E2 employee, again, because it makes sense. Maybe the father or mother has background in that business. And then when you bring an E2 employee, the spouse of the employee also gets an open work permit. And what's really good about it too? We have clients who have pretty big businesses in Canada, and they want to start a business in the US. They want to get it going, but maybe they're not ready to move themselves. And what we've seen is they'll open the business in the US, they will get their E2 immediately as soon as their E2 is approved, we send in the petition for the employee, and they send one of their main employees from Canada in a managerial role. They'll send them down to the States to work at starting up the business in the US. And then the owner goes kind of back and forth, being able to work at both businesses, which is, a great opportunity. So I think that's why they allow the E2 employee in the first place.
So I think we have time maybe for one or two more, Mom.
Um, they're confused. If you apply and receive your E2, would my wife get a work permit? Yes. The principal applicant can work for the LLC in their business. Your spouse gets an open permit. They can do whatever they want. They can open a business, they can go work for you, they can be an employee. Just imagine that they can do whatever an American does. You'd both get your social security numbers, you start building your credit. That's the real beauty of the E2. And what happens a lot of times too is the spouse will go work somewhere. They really like the spouse, the person working, and then the company is more willing to sponsor that person. And we see a lot of families go towards green card because of that.
I like this last question. Do you think Trump will change visas? So the E2, no. The E2 has not changed in a very, very long time, even when Trump was president and we had these changes. But immigrant-based visas, he sometimes, in the past, he took away some privileges, but he doesn't get rid of them. So you can still, all these options are still going to be available to you. I can tell you that. The only thing that might change is we might see a slowdown, but there's been talks that his first time around was different and it's going to be different than this next time. And he's made some statements that he wants to help legal immigration, in particular people who graduated from, foreigners who graduated from a U.S. institution. So he said some things about that during his run for president. So we will see what happens, but don't get scared about that. The E2 visa's there. It's going to be there. And, maybe some minor changes to the immigrant-based visas, but don't worry about any of that. We will take you from start to finish, and we have never seen really anything crazy happening in that world in the past.
Yeah, we might go a little over, but can we just answer one more because this person's really trying.
Yeah.
L1 visa, we didn't really talk about it. Is there a minimum company size in Canada? If you only have 3 employees, is that okay? And also, does it lead to a green card?
Yeah, I don't ever recommend L1s to people. Actually, I tell them not to do L1s. In the past, L1s were a lot easier to get. We were talking to someone just the other day. They were talking about how, L1s were a lot easier to get. They never checked up on you. It was kind of free reign with the L1s. And that kind of happens with immigration a lot. Certain visa categories, like they become free reign, everyone goes after them, and then they change the rules around when they figure out what's going on and make it harder. So we've seen that kind of happen with L1. L1, you have to have a pretty substantial business in Canada to do that. You have to have been on payroll for at least a year. You have to have commanded a high salary. You need to show that your role in the company was an executive role. And then the next phase of the L1 is to put together the petition, which is a lot bigger and more cumbersome than an E2 petition. Basically proving who you are, what the company is, what the company has done. You have to disclose a lot of financial information. And we basically have to show that you're going to come to the US and to open a new office. Okay, so if you're an executive or manager, you have to come to the US to open a new office. And in that first year, you have to be able to basically hire about 6 or 7 new employees, build a business that is impressive, that's generating a profit, and that's tough to do in your first year of business, because at the end of that 1 year, you it's going to expire. The L1 will expire. You'll have to file for an extension. They will only extend you or grant you the EB1C, which leads you to a green card, if you can show the job creation, the profit, that all of this stuff. If you can't show that you set up this new office and did all these things, you're not going to get renewed. And so you're back at square one again. Now that's the L1 that pertains to starting a new office. If you're working for a big company, let's say you're working for TD Bank, for example, and you have a high position there and they offer to transfer you on L1, that's different. That's a different type of L1. They can do that. They can transfer you down to a US branch of the company, and it's usually a 3-year visa. So there's different types, and it's not as favorable as it has been in the past. I hope
And I
that
just
answers.
want to, yeah, I just want to issue a warning with the L1. Unfortunately, there are many lawyers that are like, oh yeah, L1, no problem. So you pay them, they do the L1, you're happy, the first year goes by, and then you get denied at the end. And then you go back and they're like, oh, well, you got denied. So now let's do an E2. And now they're, double dipping. They're getting you to pay them again. We've had a lot of clients who've been really disheartened and have left their attorneys to come to us, and they should never have gone for an L1 to begin with. So really be careful, because at the end of the day, it's more than just, we strategize with you. If we don't feel that that road's going to lead somewhere, then we're not going to take you there. So be very wary with the L1 to make sure that it actually meets the requirements before you get, too far down the road.
Yeah, like we really care about you guys, and we're not just saying that. Like I would stay up all night if I knew that something bad happened to one of my clients. So and you have your family involved, you're moving your entire family and you're relocating your whole life. So the last thing we would ever do is advise you to do something that's not going to work for you. And the advice that I give to people is like I'm giving advice to my mother or my brother or my father. I will only tell you to do something if I genuinely believe it's going to work for you. If I don't think it will work, I will tell you, even if it's not in our best interest. So that's my spiel.
Thank you for the spiel. I think, are we at the end of the time, or we've gone over a little bit, I think?
I think we've gone over a little bit. Some people were saying some very nice things, so thank you. Like, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Chris. You guys are all very nice. We appreciate you being here. And if we don't really have time to answer anymore, if you guys want to talk, like I said, if you want to talk about your specific situation and ask all your questions, you get 20 minutes one-on-one. It's not going to be with me. I know everyone's like, why wasn't it with her? I wanted to talk to her. I'm sorry. I can't be in multiple places at once. You will get John or Dan. John is my stepdad. He's wonderful. He's very knowledgeable, and he might make you laugh a little bit. He's a little crazy sometimes. So that's John. My mom will tell you that, right, Mom? Is that why
Yes,
you married him?
absolutely. Yeah, it was a sense of humor.
Our second intake specialist is Dan, and Dan is from Burlington, Ontario. So he understands everyone, he understands the process. He's come down, we sponsored him on an E2 to come work for us. So he's been through the E2 process himself. And so both gentlemen are fantastic. They'll take the time to talk to you. go over everything in the 20 minutes. And then if there's something, above and beyond, you have such a unique situation or they're not sure of something that's very intricate, then they'll involve me or my mom, Rocky, and we offer paid 1 hour consultations. So if you wanted to talk to Rocky, who's extremely knowledgeable, as you guys can see, it's $250. And if you want to talk to me, it's $350.
How did
So
you end up being more expensive than me? What happened there?
I got the fancy title.
I know, I don't have it. I just, they call me mother at law. I make lawyers. I'm not one myself. My son is going to law school as well, so two for two. Yeah, the other cool thing is if you do pay for a 1 hour consultation with us, that amount that you pay gets credited to your account, and then you can use it when you retain us. And you don't get us just for that hour. At the end of the hour, you'll get a proposal, and you'll be able to follow up with us based on that proposal to see if you have any questions. We want to make sure that you have all the information. So Kaylee said Dan is amazing. I'll let him know. He'll be so
Oh,
happy. He'll
yeah.
be so happy.
Every time Dan gets a we had someone call in and they asked to speak with Rocky, and they said, "I just had to call and I had to tell you how awesome Dan is."
Yeah, he was
And we were
glowing for
telling him,
three
he was
days.
like, "Awesome." So
Tina wants to know for hiring. Tina, what do you do? Send me an email. We're always looking for some good Canadian
yeah,
talent to join
maybe,
us. Yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
So
Rocky at
funny enough,
mylonelylegal.com.
I
Yeah,
met Dan in a
that's right.
consultation. So Dan paid to have a 1 hour call with me. And he starts telling me about himself and his background in sales and everything. And I said, "Do you want a job?" So it really worked out. So hey, you never know, Tina.
Yeah, so they also, Jamie just put up to leave a Google review for us. Google reviews are really important, guys. So if you have an opportunity, it's in the chat. Even if you haven't hired us yet, you just want to say something nice about us, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, no bad
Let us,
reviews, guys.
yeah, no bad reviews. Okay, well, as always, always a pleasure to be here, and thank you for your incredible questions. Thanks for your support. We look forward to talking with many of you, and hopefully sipping a margarita at the beach with you one day. Okay,
Talk to you all soon. Take care. Good night.
take care. Good night, everyone.
Night.